I am here with Cullen Bunn. Things are blowing up for you. You've got people with stacks of Sixth Gun going on. Is that book been like a big surprise?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. This is the first real convention I've been to since the trade came out, and it's really exciting. A lot of people coming up, buying the book, but just telling us that they like the book and bringing stacks of singles and having us sign them. It's real exciting how interested people are and how much people are really enjoying the book.
Just describe what the Sixth Gun is for somebody who doesn't know.
So it's a supernatural Western. It's about cowboys, outlaws, Civil War generals, and 6 magical pistols. Yeah.
No, and it's what's interesting is that we're talking about an indie book that's a Western. Has nothing to do with superheroes or anything, and it's kind of thriving in a market that doesn't tend to reward that kind of thing. So that's great.
Yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of people come up and they've been saying, I don't like Westerns, but I really like this book. And I think there's something in that book for everybody. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote it, but I really, I wrote it with the intent that it'd be something that anyone could really grab hold of and enjoy.
And you have a character named Bill John, which I really like for some reason. That's for me. That's my little bit of
I wrote that just for you.
Thank you. Now, besides that, now you're writing now. This is your gig now, which is awesome.
Yep, this is my first week, end of my first week as a full-time writer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get anything done?
Yeah, I got a lot done. It's the busiest I've been in a long time.
You never know when to stop working.
Right.
Now, so besides that, you just did an issue of Superman Batman, so those are some big names.
Yeah, a lot of fun to work on those 2 characters. It's a first issue of a 4-issue arc. I think the next issue comes out in the next couple of weeks. A lot of fun to work on those characters. And I get to play with Superman, Batman, but also Shadow Pack's in the book, which is characters I've always wanted to write.
It's a lot of. I mean, I imagine that like Detective Chimp is one of those sort of apexes of comic book writing.
He's a character I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy writing. I wasn't sure I was going to include him in the book, but once he appeared in the book, I was like, okay, he's in every issue of my arc. So, yeah.
And it's like it's sort of Elseworlds, but sort of not, because I know that book is sort of in and out of continuity, but you have like an alternate reality kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I combined magic and time travel. So I didn't want to do an alternate reality. I wanted to make sure it was something a little different. But yeah, I have an alternate future going on in the book that is magic based. So.
Now, on the other side of the street, as it were, you're doing Black Widow for Marvel. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a one-shot tied into Fear itself, with features Black Widow doing her super spy thing. I really wanted to tell an exciting, spy story. She's in Paris, trying to avert a horrible disaster, but the events of Fear itself are kind of getting in her way.
I feel like Black Widow's this character who has a series every once in a while, shows up in kind of everything. Like, what is it you're taking from to sort of come up with your version of her?
I'm taking a lot from my love of, spy movies, spy novels. That's really where I'm drawing a lot from. And I just really, I wanted to tell an exciting espionage story, but yeah, I wanted to make sure she gets to kick some people in the face, too. So.
And then finally announced was Fear Itself the Deep, which is Namor, Silver Surfer. I'm not going to, those names sound familiar together.
Well, yeah, it's a 4-issue limited series. Namor gets into, thanks to Fear itself, faces a challenge he cannot meet on his own. So he turns to some of his old allies to kind of help him out. Not all of those allies are available. The world's in mass chaos. So he has a sort of a new variation of an old team.
Cool. Again, the Detective Chimp, but then the other side of it, like Namor, that must be, like, you get to write Namor. What's more fun than that?
Yeah, he's a strange character because he's he's haughty and he has this elevated speech. But when I think about it, Namor has that, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, those characters. I was sitting there writing, I was like, I don't want this to come off as Shakespearean dialogue. But once I got a handle for those characters and how they work together, and work with some of the new characters who are going to be grouped with them, I think I really enjoyed how they play against each other.
I'm here with iFanboy favorite artist Mike Norton. How you doing?
Wow, I'm a favorite. Hey.
Of course you are. You're for your extended family. So recently our lawyers went into some litigation over a new project of yours, this webcomic called Battlepug.
No comment.
No, I was so excited to see that you were taking the T-shirt design that was originally an iFanboy T-shirt into a webcomic.
Well, you know what it was? there's the people that were buying the T-shirts, and they'd come up to my table, and they'd see the print that I had made, and they're like, oh, when's this comic coming out? I got tired of hearing that. So I was just like, I got to make a comic book, or I'm getting tired of answering these questions. It was great to see the T-shirts. I love that. But then it's like, oh, I didn't know I was going to have to follow up on this.
I know, yeah. Well, it's nice because I'm not a creator, but to have a co-creation credit on a comic is really great. It just tomorrow I'm going to just put a big X through my name on it. I'm going to put Ron Richards Battlepug. No, but so you launched the webcomic. What can you tell us about the comic? I mean, when did you decide to do it as a comic? Because I remember it was a goof. It was a joke.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know what to do. Remember you were bringing it up. You were suggesting things that I should do with the picture. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should. I don't know what that is. Just drawing a pug. Well, since then, I think maybe it was the first time I had a convention after that shirt had been released.
Yep.
And people started asking about it. I started thinking about it, and I was like, Conan, pugs, that's ridiculous. So I just went down that path. I said, like, what is the most ridiculous thing I can do? And so I did that, but I treat it with as much sincerity and seriousness as I can.
Yep.
So it's just deadpan ridiculousness. And I wrote like a strangely epic story. Like I have this thing.
Like a bone level story, right?
No, yeah. It's like I was sitting there, I was looking at the outlines like, this is years of material. I'm gonna get tired of this eventually, but I'm not anything if not persistent. And so I'm just gonna keep doing it, and as long as Alan keeps coloring it, hopefully people will read it.
Well, we're a few weeks in. How's the reception been?
It's been great. I had to upgrade my web plan because it crashed on Thursday.
That's great.
I woke up to, I was like, I'll see if there are any comments today. And I went over there, it was like, temporarily unavailable. I'm like, oh, crap.
Welcome to my life. It's like, shit, the site's down.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I didn't know I was going to have to do this. I'm actually paying for this. This isn't working. I'm paying to put this thing up. So,
well, it's good. It's the best kind of thing. So this isn't your first kind of foray into digital comics either. You guys recently announced with 4 Star Studios is doing a whole bunch of digital comic stuff. Yeah,
that's something that we've been talking about for a while since we started the studio just a little over a year ago. Tim Soule is just a fountain of original ideas. Every day he comes up with 57 new ones. And I have some stuff that I've been wanting to do, and they're, Josh Emmons and Sean Dove are incredibly creative people, and so you sit in a room together for a year, you're bound to come up with some ideas, and Josh Emmons, who works in technology, is an app developer. Yep. He makes his own comic. It was only a matter of time before we said, hey, what if we built our own app, and not like where we put our comics in an app. I mean, we design it so that you can have director's commentary and extras that you can see with each book, because he's already doing it with the comic that I'm drawing with him, Verum Corpus. And so we said, well, what if we do that, and we can get other artists that we know, other creators, let's say 8 pages from somebody. That's not a big investment. We'll have that, and we'll put that up, and they have a new property that they can put out and do whatever they want after that. They can continue it in what we're calling right now Double Feature Comics. It's a website that I actually bought the URL for years ago. I didn't know what I was going to do with.
Good name.
Well, I thought, I'll do a webcomic someday. I'll call it this.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything with it, and so we're like, we'll get 2 stories in each issue, kind of like the old Marvel 2-in-1s. Make it like an Amazing Fantasy where you see, oh, what's this Spider-Man guy? I wonder if that'll last. That kind of thing. And creators can come in, they'll make up something, and if they want to continue it, they can. If Hollywood knocks on the door, they go make a movie. If Image wants to make a series, they go print the series. Do whatever they want with it.
Well, it's interesting because it's almost like you guys creators taking the reins in this 21st century kind of publishing on your own, but digitally.
Yeah, I mean we specifically say on the website, which you can go to right now, doublefeaturecomics.com. We specifically say this is our experiment. We're wanting to say we're putting it out on iTunes, we're putting it out as PDF, you can go to it on a website. You can see all these different varied ways, and probably even more in the future.
Yeah.
But it's an experiment where we're seeing who's going to buy this stuff. I mean, digital is all the rage now. Everybody doesn't know how to rein the horse right now. But we're going to see how this works. People want... They say they want original content by other creators. They want experimental content. They want stuff that isn't capes and cows. They want. We're going to see if they do. Yeah. So it's a minimal expense. I mean, it's 99 cents. We do 8 pages. We don't get paid for it unless you buy it. That kind of thing. So let's see if it works. Yeah.
So your comic and double feature is going to be
the answer. It's I just said something about superheroes. This is my superhero.
It's a cape and cow.
It's cape and cow, but it's a story I've been wanting to do for about 7 years now.
Yeah, I've seen draw. I mean, even
I came up with it like in an airport with Tim Seeley one day. I was drawing this guy, and I wanted to make something out of a character deeply influenced by my love of old Steve Ditko kind of stuff. And our writer Dennis Hopeless is writing this with me, and we've come up with this great. He describes it as like the Da Vinci Code meets Spider-Man with Velma from Scooby-Doo. So I mean,
it's a good combination.
Yeah, so it's. We figured we'll make the first issue a double feature. We'll make it palatable for people that aren't necessarily used to it. So we'll put our action superhero characters in it. And this is a story. I have 3 issues of it drawn myself, and I just I'll start it off in double feature. We'll see if people are interested in it. So now people will get to see the answer finally. So
awesome. And additionally, you're paying a little bit of the bills going back to Marvel, doing some Marvel stuff, but you get to go back to one of your characters.
Yeah, I mean, they called me, and I was already doing Young Justice, and Lauren Sankovic over at Marvel called me and said, hey, you want to do something? And I was like, what is it? It's like, well, Sean McKeever's writing a miniseries right now, and I was like, does this have gravity in it? And she's like, yes. And I was like, okay, I will do it.
Sold.
Yeah, so me and Sean are working on Gravity again for Youth in Revolt. It's basically the Civil War of the Initiative. So some people are not necessarily, the whole Fear Itself thing is kind of splitting ranks again among the Marvel superheroes.
Right. Cool, and that's a miniseries, right?
Miniseries, 6 issues, starts in May, I believe.
Is it fun to go back to Gravity after a couple of people tried to draw it and didn't do very well?
I actually liked some of the guys doing it. It's funny because everything that Sean would do that had Gravity in it, he actually sent it to me, and I'd go, he forgot to draw pants. He drew the goggles wrong. And they never listened to me. But actually, the best thing was David LaFuente, when he was doing covers for Young Allies, would actually send me the drawings.
That's awesome.
And I was like, that's really nice. I didn't even ask for it, but he sent it to me. He's like, yeah, man, you're my favorite artist now.
Well, he is one of the nicest guys in comics. He's so
awesome.
Nice.
He's awesome, and I love those covers. Yeah. And he drew pants on Gravity. That's all I asked for. He wears pants, people. It's not spandex. He wears pants.
Well, excellent. We'll be looking forward to that. Looking forward to more double feature comics and more Battlepug.
Yeah.
So Battlepug.com.
Yep. Battlepug, 4-Star Studios,
double feature
comics. I hate Mike.
I hate Mike.
iFanboy. C2E2.
Keywords.
Giordano's Pizza.
Tom Caters.
All that stuff. Theinternet.com.
I'm here with Charles Soule, creator of Strongman and 27. 27 is a great concept, one that I was very happy about, and it's just finishing up now. So for people looking for the trade later, why don't you tell us what it is?
Sure. So 27 is a story about the 27 Club in rock music mythology. It's famous musicians and artists who died at age 27. You got Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin. There's a whole long list of them. And so the premise of the book is that you have a famous musician now who turns 27, and his life starts to fall apart. He does some investigating, realizes he's the next one to go in this line. He's been cursed, so he's got to try and beat that, live to see 28, play again, live happily ever after.
And it was a 4-issue series that just wrapped up from Image.
Yep.
But there's more. I feel like, because I don't want to give away the concept of the book too much, but you've definitely laid out, future adventure possibilities. Adventure may not be the right word.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Trials, tribulations.
There you go.
The way that we're going to do it is right now we're planning to do just four minis, each 4 issues, structured like a concert, right? So when the trade comes out in June for this first 4-issue mini, it's going to be called First Set. Then we're going to do Second Set, Third Set, and finally Encore. So I think it should be a lot of fun, actually.
Now the book's gone through, and you do you feel like you did the things that you wanted to with the sort of first opening 4-issue miniseries? You happy with how it turned out?
I am. I think when you're premiering a new concept in front of the world, you've got to blow your wad. I don't know, whatever terminology you want to use. You can't hold ideas back. So I did everything I want to do in the first set. I left it open, as you said, to make sure that I can keep the story going. But really, it's what I wanted to say. It has some, the themes are there, the action's there, the excitement's there. I'm pretty happy with it.
As you're going into the sort of the second set, I like that concert terminology. That's fun. Do you feel like you know the characters a lot better than you did at the beginning?
Well, I think so. I think at this point I've lived with these people for years, and when you think about continuing their story, you really have to say, okay, here's where they are at the end of first set. Where would I take them? And I'll tell you, the main concept of second set, the theme of it, is instead of the 27 Club again with Hendrix and all those guys, it's going to be, people like Carl Douglas, Vanilla Ice, Tony Basil, Chumbawamba, people who had a hit, and then can they sustain it, right? Or will they be one-hit wonders like the people I just mentioned? So I think that it's something where you can take the character in the first set and say he's achieved his goals, but is he going to be able to keep going and keep it? And it's really that balancing act of trying to sustain success and so on. That's going to be really the focus of second set.
It sounds kind of like a musical twist on what they're doing with Chew a little bit, and that they keep coming up with sort of different things they can do with that food thing.
Yeah.
And so your first one is artists who died at 27, and the second one is these are the one-hit wonders for that's endlessly possible. You can do anything.
Yeah, I think so, and so that's. The nice thing is I've got it set up. I'm not going to give you. I have third set and an encore planned in similar ways, but hopefully we'll get to third set and encore, right. and then we'll do another. We'll talk again, and I'll tell you what the.
This is the reality of indie comics.
Yeah, unfortunately,
you should know that. Now, also you have Strongman.
That's right.
Which another series you do, Slave Labor, correctly?
Yep, exactly.
Why don't you tell us what Strongman is? And you're doing another one, I think.
Yep, that's right. So Strongman is a series from SLG. The first volume came out in 2009, and then the second one should be out in just a few months. The premise of that book is you have a lucha libre wrestler, one of those masked wrestler fellows who was very famous back in Mexico in the 60s and 70s. Was in movies, vigilante, all that stuff. But it takes place now in the present day when he's about 65 years old. He's kind of a fat old drunk, lives in New York City, keeps his mask on all the time, just kind of stumbles around town. And he kind of wakes up one morning, decides he's not going to go out that way, puts on his best filthy mask, and decides he's going to go out and start beating up criminals in his neighborhood. And from there it sort of spirals. It has kind of noir-y stuff, femme fatales, and the vibe is kind of like Sin City, but uplifting. So that's Strongman Volume 1 and Strongman 2. So basically the premise is that in Strongman 1 he cleaned up New York City, all of it.
He did it?
Yeah, he did it.
Wow.
I spoiled it. Well, seek it out anyway. It's the journey more than the destination. Anyway, so Strongman 2 is called Strongman Volume 2 Oaxaca Tap Out, because he goes back to Mexico. You may or may not know, but Mexico...
I love the word Oaxaca, by the way, just as a rule.
Yeah, Oaxaca. So he...
It's got O's. It doesn't make sense.
Yes, but it just rolls off your tongue. And I'm hoping that people see it in the store and are just... That's all they need, Oaxaca. So he basically goes and cleans up Mexico. Mexico's full of problems right now, as you may have heard.
It's a big job.
Yes, well, he's a big guy. So
he's a very strong guy.
Yes, exactly.
I noticed that both of these stories sort of deal with the other side of fame. On the other, I mean, is that just a thing that you think about a lot, or is that the first time anyone's ever said that?
It's the first time anyone's ever said it. And it's, you put stuff out and people point things out to you. You had no idea, but I think it's. I write about characters that I think are interesting, and I think that it's more interesting to talk about somebody who doesn't have it all than somebody who does have it all. I mean, if you have it all, what are your challenges really? It's not as fun. So for somebody who's really trying to struggle back, trying to recapture something they used to have, and I think that gives you the backstory that's so potent that's really a lot of fun to talk about and write about.
I'm here with Brian Azzarello in the Threadless booth. How you doing, Brian?
I'm fine. How are you?
Cool. Very good. So announcement here at the con is that you'll be working with Threadless on a series of T-shirts.
Serialized T-shirts, yeah. There's going to be 4 of them. They came to me with the idea, and I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. I'm going to write a shirt.
Right, yeah.
And so, I called some people I knew, to figure, hey, you want to do a shirt with me? Yeah. So Eduardo Riso said yes. Cool. And then Lee Bermejo said yes.
Not bad.
And then Dave Johnson said yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice series.
That's a good collection of artists there. And those are all artists you've worked with previously in the past?
Yeah. So.
And
there's one more shirt that's going to be designed by somebody in the Threadless community.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So I guess the way it's working, people are going to submit designs to be part of this series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very cool. Are they going to have access to your script before they submit their designs?
They got to, yeah.
Cool. So, so how do you approach writing a serialized T-shirt? I mean, compared to comic books, probably shorter, right?
Much shorter. Yeah. And we kept the panel count kind of low because it's more like you're not designing a page, you're designing a shirt.
Right.
And I think when people see these things, they're going to go just bonkers for them, man. Yeah, they're really cool. Everybody did a great job.
Yeah, very cool. It almost seems to me that like you take the 4 shirts and it almost becomes almost like a newspaper strip kind of style, like because it's a one panel per shirt.
No, it's front and back.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
And there's like 2 or 3, panels on on some of them. Yeah,
very cool. Did you ever think you'd be able to one day wear one of your scripts?
No, I guess I didn't. No.
Oh, excellent.
I'm Molly McIsaac, and I'm here with Jill Thompson.
Hi, Molly.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're up to these days?
Oh, gosh. Well, you mean at the convention or in general when I'm home working hard? Well, when I'm not tweeting, while I am tweeting, I am painting different things like Delirium's Party, which is a new book that's going to be coming out from Vertigo. It's a follow-up to the Little Endless Storybook, which they are also re-releasing. Working on, what's secret things that I can't talk about? It might be secret things. Everything is kind of secret. More Beasts of Burden that I'm working on for Dark Horse. So working on some really cool scripts that Evan Dorkin has written. And also Scary Godmother is being re-released, not just the colored material, which came out last year in October, but all of the comic book material. So there are 11 comics, and there's also tons and tons of sketchbook material. Will be out this June from Dark Horse as well in another volume. So it's like 302 pages of stuff that maybe people have never seen before.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
So Finals is being re-released, and how is that working for you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that Finals is actually recollected. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. My friend and very talented writer, Will Pfeiffer, you might know him from Catwoman and some other things he wrote for DC. This was his first work at DC Comics, and I've known him for years. We lived in the same town for a while, and we brought this idea together just kind of by sitting around talking about the world and crazy stuff, and like living in a college town. How is it, that college students relate to the townspeople and how they both hate each other, but they both need each other. And then how students almost kill themselves to get these final projects done. But they're so big and giant. How is there ever a time where the professor would ever read them? And I said, one day it's going to get to the point where the only way you're going to, get a passing grade is, have to kill yourself or nearly kill yourself to get something done. And Will also, he goes, we kind of almost really kill ourselves. You should see the crazy stuff students do to try and stay awake or study or cram. And I was like, well, what do they do? And we just kept talking and pitched that to DC, and it came out, a bunch of years ago. And it was really well received, but, I don't think they never overprinted. And finally, no pun intended, they're deciding to resurrect things that maybe had a limited print run at the time. But so it's a brand new comic to so many people, and I've had more people come up to me at this convention or email me and say, this is amazing, it's so funny, it's such dark humor. I can't believe I missed it the first time out. And I'm like, well, you're probably 12 years old at the time and you weren't allowed to look at it, but now you can because you're old enough. So it's really excellent, and I hope everybody picks it up. We've always had an idea for a sequel in our heads, but now we're even thinking about what would happen. We wanted a sequel that was going to be really close right after the end of this series. But what would happen if just exactly this much time happened now, and where would some of the surviving characters be at this point in their life?
So I'm a big fan of Sandman. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Delirium's Party?
Okay, Delirium's Party is a follow-up to the first Little Endless Storybook. Not like we left any cliffhangers or anything, because it was just a silly little, what if I'd made a whole story with these guys as little teeny characters? But this one is, one day, little Delirium realizes that she's never ever seen her sister Despair smile. And the concept of despair being despair is kind of lost on her, and she decides to go about figuring out a way to make her sister smile. She decides to throw her a party because everybody loves a party. And she invites all her brothers and sisters to come over. and they all in turn, have presents, and there's cake and all sorts of things, and they do everything that they can to try and make Despair smile. And I will not spoil it for you to see whether or not she actually accomplishes that, but it's another, kind of cute story that Sandman fans, I think, will really like, but also a great way for Sandman fans and other people who have younger readers in their house can introduce them to this universe without, saying, hey, here's that very adult-themed, literary-minded Sandman compilation that you're not going to really understand until you're older. But it's a good gateway to get kids into comics, I think.
Well, I'm very excited to pick that up. And I am a big fan of your work. I think that the way that you draw is beautiful. And I was just wondering, what is your creative process? What inspires you? Things like that.
Well, I love to paint things in watercolor. And just recently, I've been working on a project, kind of a regular comics project, that I had to go back and do in pen and ink, kind of, for me, old-fashioned comics. And I don't even think in that way anymore. So it was really hard for me to put on the brakes and go back and thinking of black and white and maybe cross-hatching or some shading that was line shading instead of just what I first do when I paint is I make a little sketch layout. Then I draw on, like we have here, some of my original pages. So they're 11 by 17, just like regular comic book pages. But I draw out in pencil a kind of light version of what I want, and then I tighten up main figures and certain things in the background. I don't shade anything in because I know where in my head where that's going to go in paint, and I go straight to painting. So I lay down washes, and when I get to a certain number of washes, then I outline it as if I was inking, but I use like a darker version of the color of paint that I'm using. So like if we can actually see on my poster, like this is gray, so this actually has some type of black. But the curls here are like a burnt sienna outlining that magenta, and this is like a really dark blue, and this is a blue on a white thing, and this is like a mixture of alizarin crimson and burnt sienna and maybe a little bit of French ultramarine to make a dark color but not black. And then I use a brush and I go out and ink around every single thing, cleaning my brush off in between each color and going back and doing it. So it's kind of like, it's like I'm my own 4-color printing press machine. So it's not like an easier process, but it's the only way I kind of know how to make what I want to make in my head.
Well, obviously, you're the artist. You control it all.
Sometimes it doesn't, it's like I never knew that's the way it was going to happen. I mean, I used to paint in a more painterly fashion, which was without any illustrative line around it. But Mike Mignola said it once best. He said that I cartoon with paint. So that's, I'm a cartoonist who paints things. So it's not really necessarily traditional painting like landscape painting, which I can do, or portrait painting. It's making comics, but doing all the steps.
Well, it turns out beautifully. So you have a background in improv, and how does that affect your storytelling?
Okay, well, that's really fun. I know that other people sit down and they kind of ruminate on the white piece of paper, like, what should I write next? When I first started writing comics for myself, I was really unsure about it. I was so used to writing from some other people's scripts, I never thought that I would be able to sit down and write something that was that detailed, because I kept just seeing pictures of what I wanted to draw in my head. So I had to first sit down and sketch out those little sketches, then describe them for myself, and then take that description and then actually do the page from them. So I did that for a little bit, and once I developed my own characters, the Scary Godmother especially, and her cast of characters, Mr. Pettibone, Bugaboo, Harry the Werewolf, once their personalities were really firmly established, I kind of take it from an improvisational standpoint. So in my improv troupe, or when I studied at Players Workshop here in Chicago and Second City Training Center, you do a Spolin technique where it's, like you take suggestions from the audience, it's who, what, and where. So, like, if you're standing in front of a crowd and you're going to perform for them just based on their suggestions, you don't know what you're going to do. And you ask people something, give us the name of an occupation, give us a location, give us something that, made you really excited today. And you take those 3 things and you create a scene out of it. So with my own characters, what I sometimes do, not often always, but a lot of the time, I put all the names of the guys in one hat. I put a bunch of verbs in the middle hat, and then I put a bunch of weird nouns or situations in the final hat, and I pick them out, and it would be like scary godmother, washing the dishes at a nudist colony. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a little risky. How could I make that work? It was like, and that's a premise, and I know how my characters act, so I know what they would do if suddenly this situation happened. Or it might be a premise. It's like, how could I make Scary Godmother a Western? Or how could I do this instead of... so it's just like kind of a germ of an idea that makes the characters act amongst themselves, and they all kind of go off and create it for me instead of me sitting down and going, now what am I going to do? It's, oh, look what they're doing. And isn't that great?
I'm here with Scott Snyder. We are heading into year 2 of American Vampire, and this is a good place to jump on?
Yeah, absolutely. We just had issue 13 come out. It's the start of our big World War II epic. It takes place in the Pacific, and it's got Pearl, Henry, and Skinner, and it even has a little jumping on points initiative at the beginning where it catches you up. If you haven't been reading the series, it tells you what's happened before. So if there's an issue to get on, it's definitely this one. It's Raphael's return. He's been off for a couple issues. So it's his best artwork. It's the script I'm proudest of so far, and it's going to take you through 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. A big, epic battle in the Pacific story with new vampires, new species, old species. All the big characters are back. So, yeah, check us out.
There's something really fun about doing World War II stories, and especially in comics. I don't know what that is, but like, did you get a sense that you're going through it?
Oh yeah, it was like Raphael. You had to hold him back. He was like, I want to draw Pearl as a pinup, and it was like, I want to draw Henry as like, Rosie the Riveter with the. And it was he went crazy. So he had a lot of fun. It's fun because it has a gravity to it because we tried to take the mission very seriously that the guys are on in the thing, and at the same time, so much of it is also. Some of my favorite popcorn and big blockbuster movies use that same kind of iconography. So hopefully we balanced it well in there. We're really excited about it.
Is Raphael Albuquerque, who's the artist on American Vampire, it seems like he's pretty collaborative with you.
Oh yeah, we talk all the time. He's super close. He's going to be listed as co-creator as of this issue. So from here forward, we're co-creators on it. He deserves it more than anybody. Rafa, what's up? He's completely, a beast when it comes to art. And he talks ideas, designs the vampires, designs the look of each cycle, does them in different styles. That's a big point for us that he loves to do. So this one is really in a kind of almost dark wash style that really evokes, I think, like the 40s. And it makes it feel slightly, of that time period, but it's still really vibrant and violent on the page.
You're also doing an American Vampire miniseries with Sean Murphy, an artist who we've really come to like lately. Tell us about it.
It's Sean is the best. We become really good friends over the last year. We started talking about it a while ago, and we've been looking for something to collaborate on. I've been a big fan of his for a long time. And what we decided to do is try and write a miniseries that wouldn't be completely separate from the main series. It would be standalone so that you can read it without reading the other series, but it actually happens simultaneously with the war in the Pacific. This is actually on the Eastern Front. So, it's in the Eastern Europe, not on the Eastern Front. The idea is that in this, we use the characters that we introduced in the 30s, the Cash McCogan, the sheriff from Las Vegas, and Jim Book's daughter, Felicia Book, who's half vampire. They're doing a secret mission for the Vassals of the Morning Star and investigating what could be a scientist in occupied Romania who might have discovered a cure for vampirism. So they're going over there, and meanwhile, at the same time, the main characters in the main series, Skinner, Pearl, and Henry, are involved in an adventure in the Pacific, in the Japanese, the islands off the Japanese coast. So we're really hoping people like it. Sean is amazing. I can't wait for people to see his art, and it's fun because it's really it's fun because it's also a different perspective. It's like a Black Case Files from this group that hunts vampires for a living. So we hope people like it. I mean, Sean, again, I can't say enough good things about his art. He's great.
You're a ridiculously talented artist roster you work with. It's kind of like to other comic writers come up to be like, dude.
I know. I've been I don't know what planets are aligned in my favor, but
you know, they've all been great. I mean, Rafa, Jock, Francesco, and the villains, and Sean. I mean, everybody. And there's exciting stuff coming up, too.
And then on the other side, you're doing a lot of work in Gotham with Detective Comics and with Gates of Gotham. Now, Detective Comics, again, also a good place to jump on.
Yeah. It's the same initiative. So 875, which will just come out, has a little thing at the beginning that catches you up on our story, which involves Jim Gordon's son, estranged son, James Jr., coming back to Gotham and causing all kinds of trouble. And also, this story coming up is the beginning of a big organized crime cycle. It's going to show you the new faces of the underworld in Gotham that have kind of risen to take the place of the Falcones and the Maronis and the Black Mask. So you'll see newer, violent, vicious criminals that really mirror Dick's own strengths and weaknesses in a way, because it is, you know, it's Dick Grayson's Gotham at this point. So very, very excited about it. Jock and Francesco are knocking it out of the park. So I feel really lucky. And Gates of Gotham is a miniseries. I'm doing story, and it's being scripted by the great up-and-comer Kyle Higgins and drawn by Trevor McCarthy, who did the Night Runner stuff for Batman. And it's about I wanted to do a story that really explores the history of Gotham and how the past in Gotham is never really dead. Mm-hmm. And so it involves a terrible event in the past, and a mystery that echoes down to the present that Dick has to solve now with a whole team of exciting Bat figures that we don't want to give away who's going to be in it, but we're very happy with who the cast is in it.
So now that you've spent some time in the Batman world and writing Dick Grayson, you know, primarily, and you knew the character really well before, obviously, but like, do you feel like you really have a handle? Like, do you know the character better now that you didn't before?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I always liked Dick as Nightwing, and I think starting to write him as Batman, the fun of reading and writing Dick Grayson as Batman is that he's so relatable. He's so much like if you, as a fan of Batman, or you, as somebody who's looked up to Bruce Wayne as Batman, got the chance to be Batman, he's so much more vulnerable and so much more expressive, I think. Bruce is so pathologically obsessive about his mission, and Dick is more reflective, even though he's also more social and funny. So he's been a wonderful character to work with so far. I'd write Dick Grayson forever, you know. I'd love to write Bruce too, but we'll see.
Anybody else in the Batman universe that's like stuck out to you? Like, oh, this character is playing a bigger role, or is more fun than you thought they were?
Yeah, James Jr., man. Yeah. It was my favorite. Like, the issue that's coming out, the issue that is out, I guess, when this aired now, 875, the whole thing, it's a standalone, and it really tells you what you've been waiting to hear about him, like why he's so frightening to Barbara Gordon and to Jim. So that issue is a huge amount of fun, getting to play him as dark as I wanted to and as creepy and mysterious. So he's probably my favorite other character in Gotham, but they've all been a lot of fun. I mean, we're doing another character in 876 that's the daughter of Tony Zucco, the guy who killed Dick Grayson's parents. So that character was, as a new interest for Dick, as somebody who's an ally all of a sudden in Gotham, has been a lot of fun. So we hope other people, you guys, have as much fun reading him as we've had making them. So
it seems like one of those in mainstream comics, like one of the real good tricks is to look back and pick out that one element that is ripe for mining and finding it. It feels like with you know, James, you've found that, you know, with the Gordon.
I feel that way. It's a character I've always been fascinated by, and I kept thinking about him like years before I got to write the story. So I definitely lucked out in the way that people hadn't used him yet. But Gotham is so rich. I mean, the cast is his bench is just so deep. The Rogues Gallery, and also just the supporting cast, all the different commissioners, and the whole Gotham Central cast, that you're never at a loss to like find somebody that's really rich and layered and complicated and, you know, compelling to bring into the cast.
And that does it for C2E2 from Chicago this year. Really good show, lots of fun interviews and things like that, but that's not all for conventions this year.
No, we're headed to San Francisco in a couple of weeks for WonderCon. We're going to get a ton great more interviews there. It's going to be a good time at WonderCon. I can't wait. Hometown show. It's going to be fun.
Where do people learn more?
iFanboy.com is where our website is. You can find all of our old shows, all of our past con shows. If you like these interviews, you can find more at iFanboy.com. Email us, contact@ifanboy.com. Call our voicemail line, 888-FANBOY-326-6797. And follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/ifanboy.
A lot of information. Thank you. Well.
We didn't know.
All right, well.
I'm really pleased at how fan-friendly the show was.
It's very fan-friendly. I didn't see one chainsaw.
No. The rope ladders, nothing.
Nothing. Good stuff.
See you next time.
Bye.
iFanboy.com iFanboy.com is where all of our shows live. You can find all of our old convention shows. We were just in Seattle before that. All of our old interviews can be found there. Contact at iFanboy.com is our email. 326-2697 is our voicemail line with the 888 little prefix number there. And Twitter, twitter.com/iFanboy. It's been a long weekend. We're done. A lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff to say. I feel like I'm confined. I feel like you're holding me back, but I'm going to say it all now.
Got an outtake.